Hello, Video Gamer Community Club members. This is your Q&A podcast for the month of August. I'm Simon Miller. I'm joined by Stephen W. Burns.
Hello.
All right, we're going to start. Like I say, I haven't read through these, so some questions may get started, then I'll stop because I decided we don't want to ask that question. But we're going to do it in reverse order, simply because that's the way it's printed it off. James Saunders asked, how enthusiastic would you guys be for an Alpha Protocol sequel? I think the concept for the original was phenomenal. He thinks a reworking of this concept with fixed mechanics and a higher budget would create the perfect game for me. A lot of people loved Alpha Protocol, but I never played it, so it's hard for me to comment. You liked it, right?
I really liked it. Yeah. It was one of those games that felt like it was being sent out to die, and had a preview run where people were like, then it looks a bit janky, you know, Obsidian.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
And then went to play it, and I was speaking to the PR in the preview stage, and they were nervy, as PRs usually are, but more so. And I said, you know what, this game's actually really quite good. You should maybe put some more money into it. And they were like, yeah, no, cool.
Cheers.
But yeah, I really liked it. I thought that some of it was some of its mechanical choices, like the cooldown and so on and stuff, because it was trying to be an RPG, a spy RPG essentially.
Yeah.
But some of those thematically and aesthetically didn't really go together. But yeah, the choices were fantastic.
Yeah, everyone says that. I should really play it, but I think it's probably too late now, isn't it?
Get a PC version and hope that they've done a texture mod.
Well, I don't think you'll never get one, though, for the record. Sega own that, and Sega aren't doing anymore.
No.
And Obsidian's doing weird stuff.
Yep.
Lydia White, what mobile games or apps are you guys into at the moment? Silence. What do I play on my mobile at the moment? Stick golf. That's about it, really. Stickman Golf, whatever it's called. I play that maybe once a month, and that's about it.
The game that I play the most is still Score Classic Goals.
That's good, isn't it?
I play that on the Underground.
Soccer.
Just, I don't, if I'm going to an event or trying to get across town.
That's the only time I do it, is when I'm on a tube and I'm bored. And like, what can I do? I see what games I've got. It's usually Stickman Golf when I play that. Yeah. I don't really get into them more than that, though. No. I don't really care about mobile games. What a terrible man I am. Temu Halakanin, I've butchered that, so I apologise. Does anyone in the VG team follow any esports, and what do you think about esports in general? I just don't care. Is that bad? Probably, but I don't not care. I'm not fussed by them either way. I'm like, okay, whatever you want.
Esports for me are the same as wrestling now. Is that I'm not necessarily interested in the game. Watching the game, the actual physical
act that's what it is. Yeah, it doesn't bother me.
All of the politics and the tournaments and the players themselves, that really interests me.
Yeah.
I watched Vice's esports documentary. I went to the kind of premiere thing for that a few months ago, and while I didn't think that was the greatest documentary in the world, I did think it shed interesting light. There was the pro player who had been accused and then been caught cheating or match fixing and tried to kill himself by jumping out of off a balcony, and survived only because he didn't land on the pavement outside. He landed on like a structure which was the washing area for the apartment block, and he went through and hit something soft. And I mean, he still was in a very bad way, but he survived. And the pressure that those players are under, the Adderall scandals, all
the
of that.
The backstage stuff is always more interesting.
That's because I don't understand really. I mean, I get Dota and games like that, but when you hear other people talking about it and they're using the jargon, all of a sudden you're like, you know what, I'm fucking out. But
I just don't want to
you
see
can get the human connection. You know, these people are under pressure.
I just don't want to. You're right. I don't want to see someone else playing a video game.
Yeah,
it just doesn't interest me at all. Edward Price has 4 questions, and we're going to let him have them. Number 1, what did Miller think of SummerSlam? I thought SummerSlam was a really, really good show if none of the matches had finished. If there had been like a blackout at the end, I thought, the Brock Lesnar Undertaker was a great match. Finish was terrible. Cena versus Rollins, great match. I think the worst. People are trying to justify it now. Spoilers, turn down or go away for a bit if you don't want to see it. Jon Stewart, who everyone I think knows, and this is why they did it, interfered in the match and cost. Do you know they're obviously on Raw? They revealed why he did it. Right? This is what really gets me. He did it because he couldn't stand to see John Cena tie Ric Flair's title reign of 16 wins. If that's the case, get Ric Flair to come down, because Jon Stewart's fucked off now. Oh, great, a 2-day angle. Get Ric Flair to do it and build that. It's on your books. So I think it's terrible. I think it's absolutely. Everyone goes, well, they did it for mainstream coverage. Okay, I don't own WWE. I don't care about their mainstream coverage. I care about the story they want to tell. So even if that was the case, that doesn't pertain to me, so I don't like it. Yeah. People try to justify it, they're going, well, they did it for the main. Why do I have to give a fuck if TMZ run it? Like, I don't give a shit. 2, what's the nicest thing you've ever seen Burns do for somebody other than himself? That's a really mean question. Burns does lots of very nice things for people. He's very generous, especially with his monies.
I gave a homeless man £8 once.
Yeah, and you always take people out for lunch.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. What can I say?
Don't forget, it's not real. Burns is a joke. Well, no, Burns as in the character.
Right. That's it. I'm out. Yeah. No more fun stuff. Miller, give me that money back.
Has the Miller Report persona, this is all Edward Price still, has the Miller Report persona ever offended anyone who wasn't entirely in on the joke during a Miller Report segment? I remember you saying at VG Mania that you normally brief people, but it seems like Gamescom was so busy that you probably weren't able to do it for everyone, especially in the queue jumping video. We'll work backwards. All of Gamescom, aside from us force-feeding bread to someone, obviously, which some people still think was real and went, how dare you assault a developer? Yeah, that's what we did. All of Gamescom was off the cuff. No one knew what we were doing. We just took a camera and, we had ideas. But yeah, all of Gamescom was off the cuff. But no one was offended, I don't think. I'm trying to think. No, I don't think anyone was offended.
They didn't seem offended, I
No
think.
no one's actually been offended while we're doing. Everyone's actually really good sports about it, even if we accost them. But there is one big publisher who we have it on good authority doesn't like us for doing this stuff, even though we've never even taken a shot at them yet. Yeah. So maybe that's it. They're jealous that they haven't been.
They're preemptively mad because they know it's coming.
Yeah, but no, not in terms of actually while we're doing it. I mean, the No More Heroes guys was is it not No More Heroes? Is it No More Heroes, that indie game we did? I can't remember the name of the game.
For Roll 7.
Yeah, was it called No More Heroes?
No,
No More Heroes is the other game. This was called something. Anyway, that game, terrible, isn't it? I can't remember.
Not a Hero.
Not a Hero. That's right. Not a Hero. They knew, they didn't really know, we didn't know what it was at that point. So I think that was the most real it got. And they were confused, but they just laughed it off. Who cares? It's stupid. Oh, question number 4 is you're all great. Cheers, Edward. Metaf Oracle, it's not your real name. If the VG crew were in a horror film, why can't I talk? If the VG crew were in a horror film, what character flaw, personality trait would lead to each of your deaths? Well, let's do the people that aren't here. Jim would oversleep and get killed in his bed. Dave, I guess. Well, there's always somebody in those films that gets punished because they're into sex.
Yeah, Dave would go off for some sex and just be killed.
Brett would. He's he's small and easy to get.
Yeah,
he'd be picked off.
Yeah.
Tom
just
and
be
James
snatched from the back while everyone was walking. You wouldn't even notice.
I think Tom and James would be all right.
Yeah.
They'd somehow just look at the killer and go, "Fuck you!" All right.
Somehow they've navigated Video Gamer for over 10 years now, including hiring some of the stupidest people on earth. So
yeah, they'd be all right.
I
don't know what we'd do. I don't know. Someone's got to survive.
Mine would be arrogance, wouldn't it? I'd be giving a speech, but Deep Blue Sea.
Yeah.
Dead.
All right.
Dead.
That's a good movie. I don't know. I'd probably be lifting weights or something. Took my eyes off the prize. Burns, I give this to you. Bob Harris, what is the best Metal Gear game? And then all the question marks. Look at that. You could fuck 12 question marks. That's on you.
I still think, even after playing Metal Gear Solid 5, which I adore, which is brilliant, my personal favourite is Metal Gear Solid 3.
It's the one I haven't played properly. How bad is that? I've got to play it.
You've got to play it.
Yeah.
Play the subsistence version, obviously. But I think that it's, people love the original Metal Gear. I love it as well. It's a very special place in my heart. But at the moment, I think it's maybe 3 for me, and then the first and the 5th game just tied because they do the same. They do similar things, but very differently. So that sounds like a bit of a cop out, but there you go.
I think you've definitely given your choice. Notice how Metal Gear 2 didn't come
2 and 4 rubs.
I like 4. I say that I like the title screen.
Title screen is amazing.
The best music in a game ever with the best camera pan is amazing. I love it. Luke, do you think Microsoft will be releasing slim models soon, and what do you think they should add that would benefit this system? I think Microsoft have to, because that machine is just horrendous. I don't think Sony need to. What will they add to benefit the system? I don't know. What don't they have?
PS4 already looks like a slimmer version of something else.
That's the thing. The PS4 looks all right. Like it sits under my TV, but the Xbox is garish.
So we've got in our studio, we've got 3 PlayStation 4 stacked one on top of another because they've got debug and various other things installed, and different models for different reasons. And yeah, the fact, I mean, can you imagine 3 Xboxes stacked on top of each other?
It's just the worst.
You'd never get in the room.
They'll do it sometime. I don't know what they'll add though. I can't think what they need to add. Like, what don't they have?
Well, Xbox needs a UI,
Well,
which is apparently coming.
Yeah.
I don't really know. It wasn't like last generation where it was clear that the Xbox needed a built-in Wi-Fi adapter.
Yeah, jeez.
And, you know, PlayStation needed everything but that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think PlayStation and Sony are in a really good place.
I think Microsoft will come first. I don't know what they'll add. Oh, he's done 3 questions. He just broke them up. So question 2, we're going backwards from 3 to 1. What phrases, quotes will be on the T-shirts, clothing, merchandise? Right, that goes live. This won't go up today. So this went live yesterday. It's just Miller Report clothing for now. It's just to test the water. And that is clothes that we already have on camera. We're having chats with other companies about getting a proper merchandise store done. So for now, it's just the classic Miller Report T-shirt to see if there's an interest. We hope there is.
Yep.
But if we sell 10 T-shirts, like, right, we need to go in a different direction. So just that for now. Question 1, will the audio from VG Live go up as a special podcast soon? Yes, I'm about 3/4 through it. Probably up before September. So that's next week. Maybe early September. So yeah, it's almost there. Patrons, you get it first. Isn't that nice? Craig Miller, I've recently started a terrible hours NMW job in a toiletries factory. What's the worst jobs you guys have had outside of the gaming industry?
Oh,
I had a job once. I think I've told this story on the podcast before when I was in between, when you education, summer holidays or whatever, and you need to go get a job. So I went to one of those agencies that would just place you in places for a couple of weeks, and they said, "Do you want to clean a warehouse for £12 an hour?" I was like, "Yeah, do some brushing up." And I went there, and they showed me this health and safety video about how to use like proper high end tools. And I was like, "Well, I'm sure they're showing this to me because I'm on the premises where people are using these tools." So they've got to show it to me. And then it turned out I was making drains for a living with this stuff I had no idea how to use. So I did that for 3 hours, then left at lunch, went just going out for lunch, never went back. So I don't have to fucking make a drain.
Yeah,
I was about 16 years old. So that was pretty bad. Other than that, when I worked in a cinema, I've told that story too many times, but it was the worst. You think working in a cinema would be great. It's not.
No, absolutely not. I did a bit of summer work at a hydraulics factory, much the same agency work. And
they love it.
What I had to do was, because it was only for 2 weeks, I was going away and I wanted some money to go on, like take on holiday or whatever. And so yeah, off I went to this factory, and oh man, the work that they made you do was they had a contract with JCB, and so they were doing the hydraulic hoses, lift everything. So if the hydraulics fail, then someone gets killed essentially.
You did.
And what they needed to do was for someone to sit and sift through like washers to make sure that the washer and the coupler that went with it didn't separate and were the right size, because they're machine made.
Yeah.
And obviously there's room for error there. So I had like boxes and boxes and boxes of these tiny like 5mm across washers to look at, but you had to grab a handful of them, and you had like a thin pole, essentially, about the size of a pen, and you just slotted them on top. And if they all went down and they all fit on perfectly, fine, you just chucked them off into another bin, and off they went, and you were happy that you hadn't killed anyone. But of course, some of them didn't fit, and then by the end of the day, I was like, "Oh, I want to die. I absolutely want to die." Yeah,
you did go back. You're bigger than me.
For about a week, and I went, "You know what? Fuck this."
Oh dear. I mean, I'm sorry your job isn't very good, Craig, but always believe in all that stuff. You get a good job soon.
Exactly.
Just keep looking. Karen Kapoor, what's the reaction been to the Journalism Wars video? Yeah, it's been all right. Other games journalists. One outlet doesn't particularly appreciate it, but I'm sure you can figure out who that is. They don't have a sense of humour. But I think everyone else quite enjoys it. I mean, it's silly, it's stupid, it's tongue-in-cheek.
They're in it. Well,
that's the thing.
They had to sign it off.
Yeah, don't forget how many people enjoy seeing themselves in videos. Never forget that. But no, I think more or less, like I say, there's a few people that just do not understand the stuff we're doing at all. But screw those guys. That means you're doing something right. Oh, Karen, you've got loads of questions. Your second one is it a good idea for companies to have pseudo-celebrity developers like Cliffy B and Kojima, or does Rockstar's quiet approach make more sense? Well, I don't think they're put in that position. I think they just rise to prominence because they're either outspoken or talented. That's Cliffy B and Kojima there for me, outspoken and talented. I mean, Kojima got there because Metal Gear Solid was so... unique, and people wanted to know the brains behind it.
Yeah, really. I don't think there's any denying that Cliffy B courted a lot of fame.
Yeah, he went for it.
Like,
Loudmouth.
if you look at how he used to dress, and this is all fine, you've got to do it. It's just promotion.
And don't forget when I interviewed him once on camera, using a tiny budget camera, he insisted makeup was put on him. Never forget that.
I mean, it's the brand, and it's working now because, off the back of his work on Gears and what a celebrity he is within the industry, and maybe a little bit without, people want to give him money for his new studio. Yeah. Kojima, I think, is a more interesting one in that he sees himself as a director, and in film, directors are, the guy whose name's on the poster, if it is at all.
Yeah.
And, in a lot of films, the director, especially filmmakers he admires, like the 70s new Hollywood guys, they're front and centre. Coppola, Scorsese, Spielberg, etc. So and he's a very intelligent man, and a lot of Metal Gear Solid's idiosyncrasies come directly from him, so it's easy to put him out.
Yeah.
And he was cool, and I think he was a Japanese developer that was quite accessible to a Western audience. He loved Western culture. Yeah. It was easy to sit a journalist in front of him and talk about The Matrix or Ghost in the Shell or whatever. So it just, as you said, it just grows naturally out of those. I don't think, necessarily.
I think both work, though. I mean, Metal Gear Solid 5 is about to be a huge success, and Rockstar's next game will be an even bigger success than that. So,
fact.
Yeah. And the final question is, how long can you play Sonic 06 before giving up on life? Don't play Sonic 06.
I've never played it. I know someone who worked on it.
It's fucking atrocious. Don't play it. Adam Meller, have any of you ever destroyed a controller while playing through a game? If so, what game was it? Yeah, I've thrown loads of controllers. I can't remember what for now.
So many.
What I mostly do, I said this before, is I completely calmly take the disc out and just snap it in two. There you go, disc. You lose. I win.
Oh, that's the thing that really worries people. So I broke a PlayStation pad. It's all PES related. I broke a PlayStation pad because I was playing the World Cup in in Pro Evo 2, and I went to clear it with Zidane, and because he tracked back, and the circle button got stuck. The ball went clear. I got tackled. They scored. I went out of the World Cup. That got broken.
This was last week.
I went to my friend's house in Southampton. His parents' house. Got this absolutely gigantic, enormo fucking house.
Yeah.
And they were away, and it's on this lovely road, if you know what I mean. And yeah, I lost at PES because I'd thrown the controller before. The button got stuck, and my rival was like, "Oh, don't blame it on the button." So I pulled the pad out, smashed it to pieces in the middle of the road.
Damn fucking right.
Headbutted a PSP because the ball went off in PES 5 PSP version.
Yeah.
And the screen broke. And threw a chair at my mate's room in a listed building at Royal Holloway because he beat me at PES. It's all PES related. Just guess me. I can't stand that fucking game, but I love it.
I know. I get it. I've thrown a lot of controllers, but I can't think what for now. Just random games. But I've smashed a couple. Is it the disc thing? I broke the Final Fantasy X disc.
That's amazing. That. Just calmly.
Calmly got it out. Going to give me boss after boss with no save point. Now who loses? Daniel Broadby. As it looks like VR will pay... Oh, for fuck's sake, Miller. As it looks like VR will play a bigger role this gen, are there any games or franchises that you think could easily be transposed to a VR environment? What a well-worded question. No. I think you have to make experiences for the ground up for that thing. Because unless you've used it, you really can't understand about... It is very, very special VR when it's done right, like Capcom's Kitchen proved it. But I know a lot of people are saying, you just take Silent Hills. And it probably worked with Silent Hills because it's from a first-person perspective. But I still think building stuff for that, rather than the whole Kinect Wii thing where you just kind of, like you say, transpose things across would be bad. But there is something there, but you've got to invest in it like you would invest in any game. I think if people... I do still think you'll get a point like Halo comes out and you get Halo VR edition or stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I still don't think it will compare to the actual experiences that are being developed for it.
Yeah. If there's no human locomotion in terms of their actual movement, so space games, driving games, kitchen where you're stuck to the chair, those are all fine. Those can be moved across. Elite Dangerous has done it perfectly.
Yeah.
Because you don't move. Like, you're in a chair.
Yeah.
It moves around you. You can use your head to look like you would normally if you were sitting in a car. But anything where you had to actually move will always have that kind of disconnect.
Yeah, it feels a bit weird.
So, yeah.
But VR, I don't know if VR is going to be successful, but I think it has more weight to it than all the motion control stuff put together. I'm more interested in this than I ever was in motion control.
Yeah.
Darren Russell, hey, hope everyone is well. We are, thank you. Hope you are too. I was just wondering if there are any indie games coming out within the next year or so that you guys are really looking forward to. I personally cannot wait for Firewatch and We Happy Few. I can't think of any indie games that are coming out.
Indie games. We're not doing indie games.
No, I
anymore.
don't. I mean, yes, but I need a list in front of me to see it. I don't know indie games off the top of my head.
Is Volume an indie game? That's
Yeah,
out.
I guess so.
I think I was really looking forward to that in a lot of ways. I played it and like, yeah, you know what? This is good. This is good.
Yeah.
Very good production values. Must cost a fortune.
Where to get his money from?
Yeah.
Adam Twocock, what's the VG policy on the swears during live stream podcasts, etc. nowadays? Come on, Tom. Let it happen, mate. Just let it happen. No one minds. I think we're fuck, prick, cock,
Yeah.
ball bag. What are you talking about? We can swear as much as we want. I don't know what that's come from. That's fine. Swear.
Maybe just get more mature.
Maybe. That's weird. All right. That's the strain. We can swear.
Podcast this afternoon is just going to be profanity.
We dialed back on the word cunt a bit just because we're using it too much. But we can. I just said it. It's not going to get bleeped out. I'm editing this. Dewey, one more question. Oh damn, these are all. Oh screw it. We'll get back to the other question in a minute. One more question. Does Burns base his VG persona on Ron Swanson from Parks and Recreation? I've never noticed that, but yeah, maybe. He is a great character.
I've only ever seen 2 or 3 episodes. There's one where they go hunting.
Yeah.
Which I think is quite famous.
Yeah.
I only see the episodes when I go to my friend's house and they want to show me the best
He is
episode.
a bit like the Burns character in the Middle Report character because he's all about real men and he's got that kind of dry sense of... So yeah, maybe a little bit. Amy Flute. What? Does a bell end of a protagonist affect how much you enjoy the game? I'm thinking of Sunset Overdrive, Scalebound, Assassin's Crud, which I hope isn't a typo, Watch Dogs, Batman. Batman? Batman's fine. Playing a massive jeb end has put me off most of these games, although I recently played Arkham Asylum and I did enjoy it more than I thought I would. Sorry, Miller, I just think he's a rich, moody ball ache. He's just a bit sad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it does put you off a game. Like Sunset Overdrive to me wasn't as good as it could have been because that guy was a dick, and the guy in Scalebound looks terrible, and Assassin's Creed's just crap anyway. But yeah, I do think it can affect a game. If you don't like the guy you're playing, unless it's meant to be doing it. Not a great comparison, but The Last of Us was so good because Joel was such a realised character, and by the end of the game you realise I'm not actually playing him, I'm just kind of pushing him through his world and telling him when to shoot, basically. He was a great character. So yeah, if someone is a dickhead and you've got to control them, I guess that's something games could do more of. I think if a game actually felt this is going to piss people off, but I'm going to try and work that in, that would be good. But most people just make mistakes.
Yeah, pretty much. Agreed.
Amy Flute returns. Hi. Hello. Just wondered what you think will happen with Red Dead Redemption. A prequel, a sequel, a next-gen remaster, or finally a PC version. I can't see Rockstar doing a next-gen remaster. That doesn't seem like they're... I guess they were Bully.
We've had a few rumours that is happening. But, when and where. But this is the thing. They're not beholden to anyone. It would just... it could be with Red Dead Redemption remaster. It would just happen.
Yeah.
Like one day...
That's
you just get a press release and say next week it's out.
Exactly, they won't build it up. In terms of what I want from a proper sequel/prequel, I think you'd have to do a prequel, really. Because if you do a sequel...
You're into modernity, really.
That's the thing, you can't really capture that feeling. But then, I don't know, it's hard. I read
That's what
really
made it so
hard.
good, was that it was the end of that...
Well, a man struggling to...
Man out of time.
Yeah.
And the sequel to Red Dead Redemption is out on Monday. It's called Metal Gear Solid 5.
Love it.
It's
Fucking A.
where you ride a horse around a barren desert shooting people.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Danny McGregor. Oh, no, we can't answer that. Dave's not here. Sorry, Danny. Jim Huckster. Has a game ever made you cry? Can a game make you feel things that a film cannot? Would Miller still fancy Kartos if he were a movie character instead? I'm not sure I've ever said I fancy Kartos. I just like Kratos because he's an angry man that runs around. I'd enjoy that if he was in a movie too. That would be awesome. As a game ever made... No, I've never actually cried tears. It made me sad, though. I thought Last of Us was quite sad, but I never cried.
Yeah, I thought... it's really... not trite, but it's obvious in what it's trying to do. But the opening of The Last of Us is acted quite well for a video game.
This is what... I mean, The Last of Us sad bits are a movie, really.
Yeah.
You're not actually in control of those bits.
Yeah.
And by that point, you haven't really got to know any of the characters through the fact you're interacting with them. So it's just like a CGI movie, really.
Yeah.
It's going to upset some people, probably.
The end
but
of
it
it
is
is just
sad.
really sad, I think. I mean...
Yeah.
What people don't really seem to not understand, and not trying to say they're idiots, but with Metal Gear is that it is very campy. It is very melodramatic.
Yeah.
And, the tenet of melodrama, one of them is, sensationalism and, unlikely events happening to characters. And so you build up this whole thing towards the end, and then you kill the boss. And then you have to pull the trigger. And,
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And then you go out, and at the very end, and Robert McNamara turns up. You're like, what the fuck is Robert McNamara doing here? Even though it makes sense contextually. Yeah. Then you go and see her grave, and you can press R1 or whatever to look through his eye, and a little tear forms. You're like, you know what?
That's good.
It's so melodramatic.
Yeah.
I like it. Like, it knows
and
what
he always
it
gets
is.
the music right. That's the thing as well. Music's played such a huge part in that kind of stuff, and Kojima nails it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Metal Gear Solid 5's amazing.
Liam Herity says, what film or television series do you think would be good if it was adapted into a game? None. I genuinely think that as well. None of them ever work.
TV series, I can't really think of. I'd like a.
Well, what you watch Game of Thrones, right? I play the Game of Thrones game. Could have done without that, to be honest.
You know, I'm surprised Telltale haven't done a House of Cards thing.
Yeah, it would happen. The property's worth so much money, though, isn't it? I guess Game of Thrones must be expensive too. So,
but I would like a House of Cards Telltale game, but the British version, like mega British. You know.
Dave, I'll give you a shout out because you made a Red Dwarf reference. Christopher Clayton, if the PS4 and Xbox One could each have a new feature added to them that either one desperately needs, what would you all choose? That kind of ties into what we were talking about earlier. I don't know. What doesn't it have? I mean, if I get anything from the Xbox One, it'd be to tidy up the dashboard so it makes sense. Flipping Epic, it's so horrible to navigate. Like, I hate it. I genuinely hate it.
A straight off button on my PlayStation 4.
That's true.
I know, because it puts it into rest mode.
Oh, and they're right next to each other as well. I do it all the fucking time.
Where I live, in our kind of spare room, that's where the PlayStation is at the moment. I will just absentmindedly press the front of it.
Yeah.
And then, like clockwork, about 10 minutes later, my girlfriend will say, your PlayStation's still on. And it makes me so mad because it takes ages to boot back up.
I know.
Then you got to hold down the fucking pad button. No. Just
SNES. Turn straight on.
Dunk.
Turn on.
Dunk.
Flip that switch.
There you go,
on.
pal.
Neve, now that we are reaching AAA season with Metal Gear Solid out soon, what has been your biggest disappointment since January? The Order, 1886. Who's talking about that?
Hotline Miami 2.
Oh, yours is much more controversial. Shad.Ali, how is the video game website coming along? Very well. If all goes well, we'll have something in September. But will it all
For
go
my birthday.
Well? Yeah. And he also says, do you think Sony will announce a PS Vita 2 next year? I don't think you'll ever see a handheld from Sony again. I think they're done, would be my gut feeling. I could be wrong, though, but I can't see it. Scott Lawrence, when you were talking about Patreon at first, you mentioned you made like trying something like a downloadable games magazine for VG things. Is that something that is still on the table for some time? Now, a message went out about that about 3-4 months ago now. We soon realised that the growing, increasing amount of workload would mean anything we could get you that in that regard would be rubbish. So we took that off the milestones on the Patreon. We let everybody know and said, look, if it's not for you, you can leave. You know, if you have subscribed to try and hit that milestone, we're happy for you to go. No one seemed to care. So no one cares. We're not going to have time to do it to the level we want, so we stopped doing it.
Pretty much.
So, yeah, that was that. Max Leclerc, which one of you guys put the Moonlight Sonata at the end of a video? That was me. I did that. Can't remember now. Just found it on YouTube and thought it was funny. Wasn't. Matthew Lorigan, a question to your wall. What game series do you still really enjoy despite it maybe not being as good as it used to be? For me, it's Ratchet and Clank. I guess Gears of War. Everyone seems to shit over that, but I like it still.
Resident Evil.
Do you like 7? 6?
I thought the first like 3/4 of the Leon campaign is actually really, really good.
Yeah.
But then it's just so big. It's just too much.
It's like 5 campaigns.
Also, and I know this is going to sound like a privileged games journalist bleating, and it is. It very much is. But the hell. I'm going to start my new series called The Hell of. I've already done a couple. And the hell of preview code for big games. So let me put it to you this way. When I started Metal Gear Solid 5 for review, I'd already played about 20 hours of it and had to start it again. Now, I got 3 missions away from the end of the game. And if my save doesn't convert properly, I will have to start the whole game again. Now, with Metal Gear Solid 5, I don't necessarily mind that.
Yeah.
Because the game is not very prescriptive. I can do things in it that I didn't do before. It's not like the old Metal Gear games. You know exactly where you're going, what the cutscenes are saying.
It's more open, yeah.
And I'm better at the game now, so I'll get through those missions quicker. I'll know what to hit, what to research, who to surf, what missions to take and what not. Resident Evil fucking 6 it starts and it's got a prologue, and it's got a prologue in a game with 4 campaigns, and you're like, this goes on. Why can't I just skip this? Why?
Yeah.
And I wish more games had the ability to just say, I fucking played this already without a save.
Just let me skip it.
Yeah.
Let that,
I don't
and
give
people
a
go,
shit.
We don't want you to do it by accident. I'll start the game again. For fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Although
Nonsense.
saying that, I did get screwed over in Metal Gear Solid 4. I told you that before. During that proper big cutscene before he's crawling through the...
Oh, yeah.
And I went to pause it. I paused it. And if you hit start and then hit 2 other buttons, it would skip the cutscene. I hit pause and I threw the controller onto the sofa, went to the loo or something, and just happened to bounce on those 2 buttons and skip the cutscene. Had to do the fucking boss fight again. I was so mad. Whoa. Would you ever consider sticking your shorter shows together as a magazine show and pitching them to a television channel? Ooh. I mean, Videogaden is the only series that I can think of that's been on council telly in the 2000s, and they got shafted. You had your Charlie Brooker one-offs, but that wasn't really enough. Well, we would do it, but TV doesn't really want video game stuff. As you just said, Charlie Brooker doesn't get a whole video game thing because, you know. But yeah, we would do it. But
I've said this many times, Miller, is that we need to get on television.
Yeah.
And what we should do is
5-minute shorts in between Channel 4 at 2 a.m. in the morning.
Exactly. Like the Magic Roundabout. Just
Yeah.
get the guys coming in from the clubs, get the fucking, everyone who are like, the stoners who are like,
whoa,
I just watched this mad wrestling video game show. It was all right. Get that shit going.
We definitely would, but at the same time, I think embracing online is important as well.
Of
TV
course,
channels are doing that now as well. So, Mike Hainwood, whenever a game's release is pushed back, I'm in 2 minds. It's great that they're taking strides to fix any issue before release, but I'm also concerned it might be indicative of quality issues on the whole. Am I just a terrible man-child who wants his toys quicker, or do you think there's justification there? Well, no, if you're excited about something gets pushed back, then yeah, you're allowed to be upset, but at the same time, you got to think long-term. It's better to have a game that works than a game that doesn't.
There's always justification.
Yeah. It's your excitement.
Yeah.
You're allowed to be excited.
But unless it's the one like Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince where the game is finished and they just left it on the shelf for half a year.
Why did they do that? Just
because it had to time or something else, but it'd been finished for ages.
That's ridiculous.
So, yeah.
There you go. Pangolin. Love your videos, especially the dramatised stuff like the Miller Report. When you first started filming these, were you all just winging it? Or did some of you have prior experience, formal learning about that kind of thing? What, like we'd gone to film school or something? No,
I did film.
That's true. You never learnt, here's how to do an emotional scene.
How dare you? I got a bloody first in my screenwriting.
Yeah, but that's not...
From a woman who was BAFTA nominated.
That's not module, though. That's not a module. Sad times. But everyone knows how to do that, really, though, because you just draw from inspirations from either real life or television that you've seen or movies.
You just remember Pedro going to Chelsea and it made you do a very sad face.
Or that too. No one's got any proper training, but you just...
No acting experience.
Actually, I got an A star at... What's it called? Theatre Studies. Not A star, whatever the fuck, I don't know. Who cares? Tom Blake, who's the person or persons you each individually respect the most out of everyone in the gaming industry? I don't respect anyone in the gaming industry.
Donlan and Parkin are...
Oh, they mean that, did they? I was thinking of developers and stuff.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Donlan. If we're doing journalists, always Donlan.
Always.
The boy Donlan.
Just the smartest and the most
Nicest
humble.
Man, yeah.
Honestly.
He's a good egg.
No fucking around.
No.
He's just brilliant. It makes me mad.
Just Donlan. That's my only answer.
There you go.
The developers, Donlan. Abe Foster's. Hey, guys. Oh, I thought this was about True Lies the movie, but it's not. Where do you think the true shite lies in current video game journalism, and how has it been allowed to get to this point? Is it the coverage, the personalities? To me, it's treating the viewers like they're 14 years old, with scantily clad ladies as incentive, and absolute rubbish like the VGX Awards insulting the medium itself. Video Gamer is a breath of fresh air on that front. Love your work, chaps. Keep it up. Cheers. You're very welcome.
Cheers.
I just think a lot of it is, and it's not necessarily a bad thing because it works for some people, it's stuck in the past. A lot of the stuff I think you watch on YouTube could have been on Bravo with Violet... Bravo? Bravo, that's right, yeah, I'm talking about with Violet Berlin in the mid-90s or mid-2000s, whatever it was. And that's fine if that's what you want to do, but we all sat down and gone, I don't want to do that. So it's like, why would we do it?
Yeah. I think the thing that bothers me in written stuff most, and we've all been guilty of this, is adhering to old forms when, history lessons.
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid 5 is the sequel to 2000.
Oh, yeah, I hate all that stuff. Nobody wants it.
Then there's review, and I've done this, and I think a lot of more junior guys do it. They start reviews with anecdotes.
Yeah.
I'm crawling up there. I'm doing
fuck
this.
That. Do you know, I'd much rather review start off with Metal Gear Solid 5 is a fucking good video game. I'm like, right.
Yeah.
Let's go for a fucking ride.
I always say, be declarative.
Yeah.
You don't, because that's. I think someone said this online the other day. That story, I think this was Dan Dawkins actually. He was saying that that story's your own. Unless you sell that as well as the game sells it, it just sounds like a weird.
I hate all the anecdotal stuff.
Yeah.
On a video thing as well, I hate videos that start off with the game playing. So you click on, I don't know, Metal Gear Solid 5 review, and it's some swishy swashy music and just the game for like 10 seconds. Then a voice comes in, Metal Gear Solid 5. And I'm like, where you been for 10 seconds?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe people like that, but that
Hey,
to
you
me...
too.
Oh, that's the worst. But I cannot stand these long, elongated pauses before someone types... If I click Metal Gear Solid 5 review or whatever, I want some motherfucker to start talking straight away.
Well, and that ties in with a lot like written and video reviews where people just... They tell you what happens.
Yeah.
Is like, then Snake does this, and it's really good.
I hate that.
But that doesn't actually tell you why it's any good or give you any context. It just tells you something that happens. And if you ported that to a movie review, like...
Exactly.
Then Agent Smith turns up and it's really good. Excuse me. But why is it any good? And there's too much of that. You have to really give a reason or context or tie it into the larger themes of the review.
To let you know what's going on. The comment I can't stand the most is our video reviews, as we put two people in a room, they chat about the game.
Yeah.
And because that isn't some guy with an overproduced voiceover going, Metal Gear Solid 5 features some of the best visuals I've ever seen again. People go, how can you call this a review? Do you know what a review is? Like when you sit down at the pub with your mates and you chat about Metal Gear Solid 5, that's a review.
Yeah.
Because you're giving critical analysis based on your experiences with the game. You don't sit there and go, here you go, mate, I made you this video. So we just like to... People go, this isn't a review. I just wipe the comments now. I had a fight with someone yesterday. What am I doing? I just delete it.
Exactly.
Like, what the fuck? Like, if you... Fuck off. Literally.
We should do
off.
a video in the pub where people talk to their mates like... Mate, have you played that new Metal Gear game? Well, Metal Gear Solid 5 is the sequel to Metal Gear Solid 4.
That's what they want.
Which was released on PlayStation.
I hate those people. If you're one of these people, I don't like you. I just don't. Alex Wright, how do you actually feel? I love it was WCW's Alex Wright, and he's dancing away. How do you guys actually feel about other games publications? Do you actually hate Polygon, Eurogamer, etc.?
I don't think that we hate them. You know what? The Polygon thing is part of the character. But I do have an intense dislike for them, for what they thought and how arrogant they were at the start. Now, we play arrogant people, but I like to think that we would never be as fucking brash to put out a video about how we were going to change. Like, if you watch that, was it Push Start or whatever it was called, episode 1, and I know people who are in that video, and they're like, no, it's just ridiculous. You've got, like... members that are getting a tattoo and people moving into their houses going, if this fails, you just think, you know what? Fuck off. It's not that important.
Exactly.
It's not that important.
I don't hate any of them. I do get annoyed when they sort of, through the grapevine, I don't like what Video Gamer are doing. I don't give a fuck. Why has it anything to do with you? That's what I don't like, but fuck them. James Owen, let's say you've got £80 this Christmas to spend on games. I think James has £80 to spend on games.
Yep.
Which 2 games do you buy?
Which games have you got?
Well, yeah. I mean, if I got to the end of this year and I didn't have like everything from earlier in the year, I'd buy Fallout and Batman. Considering maybe Metal Gear and Batman, because I know Metal Gear's good, and then Fallout early next year once I see if it actually lives up to expectations.
Oh man, it just got me reminded of being a kid. And like you could get one game for Christmas because they were so fucking expensive. But now if you had 80 quid, you could buy 10, 15 games. You know what I mean? Like you could get some really great stuff. You could get Score Classic Goals for free. You could get Hotline Miami for £3. You could get Volume for 10 quid. You could just have tons and tons of great stuff and not just the SNES version of Doom.
Ipso facto, get the SNES version of Doom. Sam Healy, do you worry that by reading out the worst comments from various internet stinkholes, you end up encouraging the kind of idiotic behaviour you are trying to ridicule? I hope so. I'd like more of it. This is the thing, another comment I can't stand is, by doing this, you're just going to make it worse. I want it to get worse, because that shit makes me laugh. Anyone that can't take a joke and goes fucking nuts about a video, I think is hilarious. It cracks me up.
It makes me, unless it's incredibly overly personal, then I just don't care. Then that bitch boy thing.
Oh,
I lost it. I was like, amazing. I just imagine someone sitting down.
I'm gonna call him a bitch boy.
The fucking Mozart of bad comments,
It's brilliant. That's the thing. Like some comments do, you're tired or whatever. They'll push your buttons. You're like, fuck off, you piece of shit. But comments like that are just silly. Yeah. You can't take that stuff to heart because they're stupid. Trafalgar, in the Super Mario Maker video, it looked like Simon had a lot of fun with the game. I'm worried now that Miller Report Miller will actually go after Actra Miller for being a baby. So I wonder, which of the two Millers will the others at the office support? Any plans for tag team pairing? That is such an existential question. I don't even know where to begin with it.
It's like WCW sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Look in a mirror and see the Ultimate Warrior.
Christopher Ashworth, have you thought about making a best games that no one remembers played series where you can talk about games like 50 Cent, Blood on the Sand, and why they're actually really good? And what are the best games that no one ever talks about? We could do that, but we'll run out of games after about 10. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's always a really good idea in concept, and you get to week 10 and you go, we're out of games.
Those games are better threaded. Talking about those games are better threaded into other stuff as well.
Yeah.
Unless you can find the design director on Blood on the Sand, or you can speak to 50, my boy, Fiddy, or you can find someone who can give you other than just I played Blood on the Sand or Kane Lynch 2 and I really liked it.
That's the thing, yeah.
What's the point? Like that's I could type that into Twitter.
That is a Twitter series. Stuart Leons. Gears of War, a real game about a real war with real men with real guns, written by a real woman. What do you make of that, Miller? I said this before. To be a real man, you don't have to be male. Mm-hmm. You've missed it. If you think I'm being literal, or not me, him. If you think he's being literal with that, you've missed the point. Being a real man it's not literal. It's not a literal thing. You can be a woman and be a real man.
Oh, just come on, guys. Think about it.
That's a Parks and Recreation skit, the one you talked about. He talks about it in that.
Really?
So yeah,
there you go.
Stephen Ellis. I love Link Between Worlds, but found it too easy, and then it gave me a new harder difficulty when I finished it. Let me choose it at the start. I don't have another 30 hours. So what perfectly acceptable gaming trope can you not stand? It's not unskippable cutscenes.
Yeah, tutorials. It's like, look, I get how to play a first-person shooter.
Just let me choose. Right, I'm going to be that guy. You know what does that well? Because I just played it, the original Gears of War. The very start of that game, it goes, you can go right, it lets you choose your route. It goes, go right, if you need to sit left, don't worry about it, learn it yourself. It says that. It says if you want to learn the controls, you can go this way. If you don't want to go left way. Straight away, there you go. You move away from it.
Do you remember old games like that fucking Dizzy Egg shit? Hardest game in the world.
Don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Starts, like Kid Chameleon, it just goes... Off you go.
Yeah,
go and work
you
it out.
Shit.
Oh, best games.
Mario didn't teach you shit. Didn't say press X to jump or anything, did it?
Go right, don't die. Love, Miyamoto.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Matthew Hudson, who does Burns hate agreeing with the most?
Oh, well, I won't say a name because that's not fair. But while I was at Imagine working on mags, I used to have a little barometer, a little test as to whether I was right or not. And it'd be someone else in the office whose opinions that I just absolutely disagreed with 100%.
Yeah.
And they were just basically wrong. And I knew that if we disagreed, I was right. And this has been borne out. And then one day...
This guy's own set of dice.
Yeah. And then one day in a very... actually, I'd reviewed a game and the brass... the editor and the editor-in-chief were worried that I was actually not giving it a fair shake. Mainly because of its history. And I said, but have you played it? And they said no. And that sort of politics creeps in mags a lot because obviously ads in mags are different, because they're actually there next to the game in a lot of places. And I said, no, let's play it. And we played it. I'm like, nah, that is rubbish. And then this guy who I always disagreed with came over and went, you played that new game? And I'm like, yeah. And he went, it's rubbish, isn't it? And I had a real crisis of confidence.
It must be good.
No, they're right. I am wrong. It turns out I was not wrong. But yeah, that is pretty much. But I don't mind agreeing or disagreeing with people. I think one of the main problems in video games is when people always feel that they have to
shout wrong from
The Last of Us gets a 7.5 at Polygon, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, maybe he just didn't like it. I mean, I was on there tweeting because I love winding him up, but at the same time, it doesn't matter.
No, I'll always react like that. Deep down, I don't give a fuck. Don't give a fuck. Who cares? Like, so many people tweeting me, yes, and I do appreciate it, but so many people tweeting, Miller, GameSpot only gave Gears of War 7 out of 10. It's like, okay.
We're different people.
Yeah, I don't care. Jury, what's each of the VG team's favourite tipple so I can know what to get in as a round for the next live event? Well, I pretty much only drink water. Tom doesn't drink. Dave would take a Smirnoff Ice. Imagine Brett's like a cider.
Yeah,
Jim,
it's white wine, doesn't it?
Oh, he likes white wine. Jim, I think, is a beer man.
Yeah.
I think.
I have a Heineken.
Heineken. Oh, there we go. I think I've done this page now. Yeah, yeah.
Pal.
Can't do those. They're all related. Dave. Gustav Wedholm. I dreamt that Video Gamer reviewed a game with a John Lennon character in it and tried to ring him up and ask if he had played it. What does this dream mean? That you have very weird dreams.
Yeah, sorry, John's been dead for a while now.
Tommaso Spadari. I'm butchering all of these. Who can squat the most between Kratos and Chun-Li? Got big quads, Chun-Li. I think I'd put it on Chun-Li, actually. I think she could probably outsquat the Kratos.
Kratos would be mad, he'd be distracted after a little while.
Yeah, exactly. I'd say Chun-Li can squat the most. Per Morton, I always get this guy's name wrong. He knows who he is. I can't say that. When merch finally becomes a thing, can we have a Burns energy drink? Poof, you are asking for a lot. Do you know how much that shit costs? I mean, if you ever get to the point it's that successful, yes, you can. But that shit, it's like someone said, I want a T-shirt with Dave's face on it. It'll cost you about £45 to actually get it to the point where it's not costing us money to make. Yeah. Callum Illott. I think this is more you, Burns. I never played it. What are your thoughts on the SSX game series and which, in your opinion, is the best and why? P.S. Your podcast kept me sane on a family holiday, so keep up the good work. You're very welcome.
SSX. It's almost like they knew what we were talking about a few questions back.
Okay, do you want to move on? Just say that. Okay.
Fine. So I remember many years ago when PSM2 previewed the PlayStation 2 launch lineup. I believe it was still called Snowboard Supercross then. And they were like, this is the worst game in the lineup. They'd seen it at TGS and so this is the worst game. And they came out and it's pretty much along with Time Split is the best game in the lineup. I thought that the Tricky was really, really cool.
Yeah.
I really liked that. SSX3 and On Tour and that sort of stuff, it just felt like that its day had gone. And then that SSX Deadly Descents game, shit. No, I mean, it was rubbish. And I didn't mind. I loved the concept of the avalanche and a perpetual mountain sort of thing, and not just courses. And, I wasn't really too upset when they changed the art style, but it's the fact that you have to use the rewind, otherwise you'll never get around the course.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it's not like a racing game where you can take things slowly, risk versus reward. Here you will just go into you will just go in. You go into the void and you'll be like, right, better rewind. Yeah, rubbish.
Screwed. Max Emilian Milkins. I can't pronounce names.
You can't do it.
Isn't this good? That wasn't meant to be a question, just a statement. I said, for lack of a better term, in a job interview and got the job. Thanks, Miller. You're welcome. Do I say that a lot? I don't know. I don't think that makes you an intelligent person for saying for lack of a better term, but you're very welcome. Anything I can do to help. Grey Fox, would Miller from the Miller Report and Old Dard Jim make an appearance on the Patreon podcast sometime? It could be cringeworthy. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see how we feel. Here you go, Beans. You like this? Beans. Peter Tabata, who is everyone's favourite football player and what teams do you support? P.S. I'm a Liverpool supporter.
Scum.
As for Arsenal, my favourite player ever is Dennis Bergkamp. There you go.
I'm a Manchester United fan. My favourite ever player, and this may seem counterintuitive to some of you, is Jesper Blomfield. No, it is Peter Schmeichel.
There you go. Nice. David Seaman's a close second, and Ian Wright. Just throwing them in there. Daniel Kennett. What single standout moment from a video game has stayed with you for life? For me, it was the ending to Red Dead Redemption's main story. That was a good one.
That was...
I think Red Dead in general is just an absolute flipping masterpiece.
It is.
It's just
really,
perfect
really
to me, the whole thing. Even if I don't like Mexico, I liked it. Thought it was fun.
I like Mexico. And I think the Mexico section, while overlong, speaks to video game players, people, their constant need for games to be going up and up and up.
Yep.
Like a stock market, it's got to go up.
Yeah,
and any time it dips, they're like, it's just...
That's why I like Mexico. It felt like a...
You can't swim. Yeah. So you have to go into Mexico and you've got that guy playing the guitar and then you meet that old gunslinger. Fuck off, everyone. Fuck off.
That game could be the best game ever made. So when I think about it, I'm like, fucking hell, it's brilliant.
If there's one thing that I don't like about Red Dead Redemption, it's the opening where you have to spend ages like breaking in the horses and shit.
I always like that stuff.
Really
I don't know why I like that stuff.
So good. Where's my PC version, you dicks?
I don't think you're getting it.
No, I'm not. Definitely not.
Last question. John Adams, do you think Nintendo will ever be equals again in the console race? Would you rather they failed and were forced to sell their games on other systems? Imagine what Mario Kart could achieve on new-gen consoles. I don't agree with that. Mario Kart would be no better if it came out on the Xbox One.
It'd be worse.
It'd be worse. Like, Nintendo games work on Nintendo machines. If Miyamoto then was making bad choice, but if he was making it just would not be the same. We think you want it, you don't. I don't want Nintendo to fail. They're the weird, quirky. Like, they are video games,
but they don't. The whole thing about Nintendo going their own way seems like an excuse, but really, it's not. Like, their software is built for, in a lot of ways, bespoke hardware.
Yeah.
And that goes back to Mode 7 on SNES. Like, you look at some of their launch titles like F-Zero, and then titles like is it Super Tennis or whatever it's called,
Super Mario
Super
Kart
Striker,
well.
you know, those games where you had that, you know, scrolling effects. You know, that is, you know, they had that in there, and then later on in their cartridges, the, you know, FX chip or whatever.
Yeah.
Their games are made for very specific hardware types, and just then going, right, it's going to be on PlayStation. Look what happened to Sega. Sega's games were so beautiful when they were made for like the Naomi arcade board and the Dreamcast hardware.
Yeah.
Those Dreamcast games still look magnificent. And now you're like,
yeah, exactly. Nintendo do. I mean, okay, they may not be as successful as they once were. The handheld stuff still is, but you don't want them to fail, and you certainly don't want them developing stuff for other machines. And I would argue that Mario Kart Wii U looks as good as any other game. Like, I don't think, in terms of what you want that game to look like, you could want it to look any better at the moment. I think it looks fine. So, well, that's it. That's the end of another Q&A podcast. We apologise if your question wasn't read out. I think we got most of them, but some were directed at specific video game. The video game office is just depleted this week. Everyone's either off ill or on holiday or doing something. But thank you very much. Thank you very much for being Video Gamer Community Club Patreon members and all of that. We'll have another Q&A podcast for you in a month's time. Cheers.
bye.